What if instead of Bomb Squad, they called it Death Squad? Because Rachel, hey, first of all, it's your best boxing friends. I'm Kelsey. This is Rachel. Rachel, Deontay Wilder, your favorite heavyweight champion, wants to kill a man. That's according to various reports. And by reports, I mean Deontay Wilder basically saying that he wants a body on his record and or wants to kill Dominic Brazil, who he fights this weekend on Showtime.
Okay. So, yeah, that could be unsettling.
Yeah.
So we talked about this earlier, and basically, if somebody says, like we've all heard people say, "Gosh, I just want to kill that guy," or feel like killing him, or whatever. It doesn't mean that somebody's actually wants to literally murder somebody. So there's that. But then, from what you discussed with me earlier today, it seems that Deontay Wilder has said more than one thing that is making people feel uncomfortable.
It's definitely like doing two things. One, he's getting a lot of publicity out of it for his fight that I don't think he would get otherwise unless he's like, I want to kill this guy. So the story I make up is that Wilder's just saying stuff the way that throughout history
that
heavyweights have said stuff about other heavyweights. I mean, and like, I know that it makes sense. That's what fighters want. They want publicity. They say crazy things. They get that publicity. On the other hand, it is a bit troubling when you talk about wanting a body on your record in a sport as dangerous as boxing, where fighters have died in the ring, where a fighter like Sergey Kovalev has to live with the fact that he contributed to a person's death in a boxing ring. And there's just been numerous cases of that happening in boxing. So I feel like it should be taboo. It's treated half taboo because we put up with it all the time. But that, I don't know, in the end, I'm not really sure I buy the idea of Wilder seriously wanting to kill somebody in a boxing ring.
Right. It's just, I don't know if we have a media that we could trust with the responsibility to treat this like, oh no, this is taboo, which means nobody should report on it.
Yeah, it's like if you're watching a sporting event these days and somebody runs out on the field, they don't show that.
They don't show it. So like having that kind of responsibility, like we're not going to show this because we know when we show it, it encourages more stuff like this to happen. And so I feel like a similar thing could be going on with Deontay Wilder because honestly, I don't know where he said these things, but the only reason I know about them is because media reported on them.
Yeah. Right.
So I wouldn't know about them if people were just like, you know what? I mean, even if you were, because this is what they do on the broadcast when somebody runs out onto the baseball field, right? They don't pretend like it's not happening, but they say something's happening and we're not going to show you. Yeah. And they move on. And so I feel like maybe this could have been treated like this. There were more quotes by Deontay Wilder, but they were inappropriate and were for the betterment of humanity. We're not going to share them. Like, to have handled it maybe in that way, but
as a boxing journalist, I often make the mistake of being fans of certain fighters, right? It's you really can't help it. It's just like a natural part of being involved in anything. I consider myself a fan of Deontay Wilder, have been since he was in the Olympics, really. And the story I make up is that he just says stuff, and honestly, when people get in Deontay Wilder's position of being rich and famous and everything going your way, they usually don't have around them people that will tell them the truth about things. Like, for example, hey, Deontay, you probably shouldn't really say stuff like this. So you would hope that people around him, like his manager, JD's, I think Lou DiBella is his promoter, anybody at the PBC, Al Heyman, would take him aside and say, hey, we probably need to cool down this rhetoric because of all the good reasons that we've already stated to do so. However, the people that are around Deontay Wilder, all the people I named and many, many more, benefit from Deontay Wilder saying stupid and crazy things and isn't for Deontay Wilder's best, really. It's really more about how much money can we make off Deontay Wilder. And that's my main concern, really. Isn't so much that Deontay Wilder, a person who gets paid to punch people for a living, wouldn't be attuned to maybe things outside the scope of his job, but that the people around him who should be telling him this type of stuff, the story I make up is that they're not doing what should be their job.
Yeah.
It's not technically their job, because technically their job is to manage, to promote, etc. But the fighter is the single most important person in boxing. He's the one that puts his life on the line. He's the one that every day is out there doing the hard work to do this difficult thing that is for our entertainment. He should be treated holistically as a human being. Because let's say Deontay Wilder kills a man in the ring. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever it is, that he becomes just another person in the world and isn't heavyweight champion anymore, he's going to be left alone with that. Those guys that made all the money off Deontay Wilder's name, who didn't say anything to Deontay Wilder when probably they should have, aren't going to be there. That's just how the sport works. And I wish it didn't work that way, or I wish that fighters thought about these type of things, about who they put in their life around them, and at least having like one person there to be like, hey man, you should probably think about things more deeply here, because I don't want to see you end up in a difficult situation that you could have avoided.
Yeah, I will say that the ego is a really hard thing to deal with. Like, my own ego is hard to deal with, and it's not inflated on a daily basis by anything.
Yeah, well, you're not famous. You don't have like the celebrity like people that are just. There's a lot of, if you're a celebrity, there's people that just like you because you're a celebrity, and once you're not, they're not going to be there.
But like, in regards to the ego being like a terrible beast to tame, it could be that there are people around Wilder who have said to him, hey, and he's just flat out ignored him.
True.
Because he's also in that position that he can ignore whoever he wants around him. And I feel like I am aware of other boxers that I know the people around them who are level-headed, and yet they're like acting crazy and, seem super angry and, are lashing out at people for no reason. Like this, and I just happen to know that some of the people in their life, they're not encouraging them to do that. Yeah. If anything, they're doing the opposite, and yet these people just continue to do this. So it might be that Wilder has some people around him, but like I said, your own ego is really hard to keep under control. Like it's a lifelong battle. Like I see a spiritual director, and she has repeatedly told me, Rachel, getting in touch with your authentic self and getting rid of the false ego, this is something people spend their whole lives doing.
Yeah. It's not a weekend retreat.
Right. And so I look at somebody, because what I want to say is like, yeah, you know what? Like, if you're going to be getting to the spotlight, you should hire somebody just to be like your devil's advocate, who's going to come in and always be your no man.
Yeah.
How hard would that be to do, though?
It would be really hard.
It's hard for me to accept when people tell me things that I don't want to hear, and I'm just a regular person.
Yeah, and to be fair to the people that I named, I wasn't like saying that these people aren't doing their job. I'm saying that this is probably the case. But you might be right. Maybe all those people are doing that, and he's just ignoring them. The hardest thing, I think, for a professional athlete and a professional boxer is that by the time he gets the wherewithal to think a little more astutely and wisely, he's out of boxing, because these kind of thoughts and the way that you can think about the world changes as you get older, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So Deontay Wilder, I think, is 33 years old. At the oldest, he's 34, I think. So he, he's still a relatively young guy. And when you're a younger person, you think differently. You don't have the wisdom that naturally comes with being alive longer. And honestly, like, his life is all boxing. It's all promoting. He doesn't have the time really to think about deeper things, or unless he makes the time, and that would be a really hard thing to do for anybody to just make. So
yeah, I
like Deontay Wilder just as, like, besides this whole thing that he's doing, and it doesn't really bother me to hear him say that, other than my concern is that it will bother him in the future, in that something bad would happen, or that people, like, he's not really saying the truth, or even if he is, he's a celebrity, so he doesn't have the the privacy and dignity that should come with life, where you're allowed to like
Make
learn and
mistakes.
grow without being under a microscope. That's the hardest thing. Because I mean, I love Deontay Wilder. He's been great for the sport. I love watching him fight. I'm gonna watch him fight on Saturday, and I'm excited about seeing his career continue.
Yeah. And I have, I give people leeway to kind of be whoever they are. And so when I look at somebody like Deontay Wilder, who's very different from me, I am a quiet person. I don't go around yelling. I don't make loud noises. Like, I don't sing. I don't like to be center of attention. Deontay Wilder is very different from me, and I want him to be whoever he is.
Yeah.
What concerns me is that maybe this goes beyond that. And somebody else that was like this, where I gave them the benefit of the doubt, was Adrian Broner.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, this guy likes attention, and I grew up with people, like we all went to school with people who were the class clown and liked to perform and to have everybody's eyes on. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But then, Broner went off the deep end. And
Broner had to go ahead and and he didn't have to become what he became. It's precisely exactly what we're talking about, where maybe ultimately it's his responsibility.
Right, because you can't control where you end up in life, and you can't blame your circumstances. So just like places I've ended up in my life, I can't blame what I ultimately end up doing on my circumstances. So celebrities can't blame their celebrity for what they do.
Right. But somebody else you don't have to blame is Kelsey and Rachel from Real Talk with Kelsey and Rachel. I know out there you're a famous professional boxer. You watch our show religiously. It's probably your favorite thing. You should know that we love you. You're our best boxing friend, and we watch you fight all the time. Deontay, I know you're watching D-Wild. We've had a couple conversations, and you know that Kelsey supports you. Rachel supports you. We support boxing. We love what you guys do, and we're grateful that you, famous celebrity boxers, are watching our show. We're also big fans of you, the little person. You know, we don't think of you as unimportant. We think of you as, just slightly less important than celebrities, because that's the climate we live in, right, Rachel? No, I'm just kidding. We love you guys, and we're really super seriously grateful that you would spend time to hang out with us, talk about boxing. It's our favorite sport. We both watch it and have for years now, and so thanks so much for watching.